Okay, so hello and very good morning to the students of School of Law, Gujarat University. I, Abhimanyu Singh, on behalf of Manu Legal and Associates, is going to take your classes for 5 days on the topic of drafting, pleading, and conveyancing in courts. So all of you might have a subject in the name of advanced drafting in your law syllabus. So today we are going to discuss the basics of the drafting and the first module of your syllabus, that is the drafting of applications, petitions under the family law. Okay, so let's start with the basics of drafting. I think that most of you have studied the subject of drafting, pleading, and conveyancing in your previous classes. So let me ask you one thing, that what do you understand by the term drafting? ड्राफ्टिंग से आप लोग क्या समझते हैं? What do you understand by the term drafting? Anyone? Anyone who wish to answer?
Sir, can you pardon, please?
What do you understand by the term drafting? ड्राफ्ट करते हैं किसी डॉक्यूमेंट को, and what do you understand by the term, that particular term drafting in legal sense?
Sir, drafting is anything which is used for the purpose of the matter in a court to represent a client.
Very good, Rahul. Now, so today we are going to discuss that what type of drafting we do in civil cases, especially in the cases of family law. So the first point here is the term drafting means when we write something or we communicate something in a written form to the honorable court. It may be plain, it may be written statement, okay, to the court. That particular written statement, written document by us is termed as drafting. It is not like we write something that is drafting. In legal sense, whatever we are requesting to the honorable court is termed as drafting. Okay, and in the same sense the pleading comes. Pleadings is defined under civil procedure code, where the pleadings is of two types: the plaint and written statement. Whenever a victim, he wants to file a suit in the case, in any of the civil case, then he file a plaint in the court of law. Okay, tell me one thing, if there is a civil case, then where will you lodge an FIR? In the police station. In which police station the FIR will be lodged in any civil matter? Answer me. कोई भी सिविल मैटर हुआ है, उसमें FIR कहां पे लॉज होगी? Anyone?
सर, सिविल विद क्रिमिनल में एफआईआर होती है, सिविल में एफआईआर नहीं होती, नोटिस भेजी जाती है.
Yes, Hardik Rao, very good. I just wanted that particular answer, that in all the civil matters there is either a petition or an application or a complaint which is to be filed in the honorable court. But in all the criminal matters there will be an FIR which is to be filed under the nearest police station. Got it? So this is the first difference which we need to understand in criminal and civil cases. So whenever I'm just talking about in the sense, when you pass out from the law school and you start the litigation or started practicing as a civil advocate. Okay, now whenever a civil case comes to you, you don't have to say that first lodge an FIR, because in all the civil matters no FIR is lodged. Directly a civil suit is filed in the particular court which has the jurisdiction of it. Now today we are going to discuss the civil matters in family law. Okay, so in family law, in case of marriage, can any one of you tell me that what are the types of jurisdiction can be there? That where can the wife file the petition for divorce or for petition for judicial separation, etc.? Can any one of you tell me?
Sir, in the family court with the notice of a advocate.
Yes, Hardik, very good. in the family court, and in that particular family court, the jurisdiction is, I'm asking about the jurisdiction. What type of jurisdiction? Where the family court will lie? In which family court? So it has three types of
In the
jurisdiction.
same family court as in the same jurisdiction where the marriage was registered in the first place.
Yes, very good. So it has three jurisdiction. The first, where the marriage has taken place. Like for example, the girl is from Calcutta, the boy is from Jaipur, and the marriage has taken place in the city of Delhi. Okay, so the district court of Delhi, where the marriage has taken place, it has the jurisdiction. The second thing is the place of residence, the exact place of residence of that particular girl who is filing the case, or the wife who is filing the case. That is the second jurisdiction. Like for example, after some disputes, the girl is living in this in the city of Calcutta. Now, in the city of Calcutta, there she can also file a civil suit for the divorce. The third place is the place of office. Like for example, if the girl is working in Mumbai, in any of the multinational companies in Mumbai, so the girl has also the right to file the case of divorce in any of the district court at Mumbai. Clear? ये सब क्लियर हुआ पहले कि हमें सबसे पहले सिविल केस के अंदर इन ऑल द सिविल मैटर्स व्हाट वी हैव टू राइट इज दैट फर्स्ट वी हैव टू फाइल अ सिविल सूट. Second, we have to determine the place of jurisdiction in each and every civil suit, at where this particular civil suit will lie. So today we are going to discuss the family law matters. So I am telling you the places, the jurisdiction where the particular party can file a civil suit. The same thing applies for boy also. Like if the husband is living in Jaipur, he can file a civil suit in Jaipur, and if the marriage has taken place in Delhi, then he can also file the suit in Delhi. And if he is working, we can say in Baroda, if he has the office at Baroda, now he can also file the case in Baroda district also. Got it? Answer in yes or no? अभी तक सब कुछ clear है? Everything is clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good.
Yes, sir.
Now, अब जब हम स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, when we are starting our practice as an advocate, a civil suit has come in front of us, a civil case has come in front of us. So as an advocate, what shall be our duty in all the civil matters is that first to understand the case, that is it a civil case or is it a criminal case, because in most of the cases there are both the elements. So first we have to understand that it is a civil case or a criminal case. Now after understanding the case, we have to determine that where this case will be filed. It may be filed in the judicial magistrate first class court, or in the court of CJM, that is chief judicial magistrate, or in the ADJ court, additional district judge, in the district judge court, or in the high court or supreme court. Okay, so all the civil matters can be filed in any of the court. It can be also filed in tribunals also. Okay, so first you have to determine that at which court this particular civil matter will be filed. After that, we have to determine the jurisdiction of that particular court or case, that this court will have the jurisdiction of our case. Like in many of the cases of you can say the consumer cases, or in NCLT cases, in environmental tribunal cases, pollution control board tribunals, income tax tribunals, rent appeal tribunals, we have different civil courts, and we have and they have different jurisdiction. So first we have to determine the court. After that, we have to determine the jurisdiction of the court. Okay, now after determining these two things, what we have to do is that we have to further proceed with the case by drafting the application or the petition of the client. Now, today we are going to discuss that what all types of petitions can be filed in all the family law matters or in the family courts. So the first and most important petition, which is generally filed in the family law matters, is the petition for restitution of conjugal rights. Can any one of you tell me the section of this particular petition, and under which section the petition for restitution of conjugal rights is filed? Anyone? Petition for restitution of conjugal rights is filed under section.
Section 9.
Yes, good.
Section
It is
9.
filed. It is filed under Section 9 of Hindu Marriage Act 1956. Now, sorry, 1955. Now, you have to first take that particular section and study that particular section, that our case is falling in this particular section or not. All the essential ingredients of the section is being covered under our case or not. Okay, you have to determine this thing. Now, let us take an example. There are two parties. One is Ramesh and one is Sunita. Okay, Ramesh and Sunita. Now they both are major. They are of marriageable age, and they decided to get married. Now, Ramesh was a resident of the district of Jaipur. Sunita was a resident of, you can say, the Baroda district of Gujarat. Their marriage took place in the state of Delhi. You can say, or you can say in Noida or in Delhi, at any place. In the hotel Marriott. Okay, I'm assuming all the facts. Okay, so the marriage was a very huge marriage, and the family of the girl expended a lot. There was no demand of dowry. Now, after the marriage, there was a registration of marriage, which also took place in the state of Delhi only. Now, both of them started living in Jaipur. The boy is working in OLX as a marketing manager, and he's earning 1 lakh rupees. The girl is a housewife. Now, after some disputes, the girl has a tendency to go to her mother's home, or you can say the pihar, we say in Hindi. Okay, the girl generally goes to her mother. Now, you can say at a particular point of time that there was a major dispute regarding the lifestyle of the particular boy. The girl was of high elite class, and the boy was of a normal class. Okay, he was from a normal family, or you can say mid-tier family. Now, after that particular dispute, the girl had a demand that my nightlife is affected by coming to Jaipur. The life of Baroda was very good, so I cannot live here. I'm going to my mother's place and I will live there. Okay, now the girl is staying at her mother's place from past 2 months. The boy has made many telephones. The mother of the boy has also made many phones, many requests to that particular girl that please beta come back to us and start living with us. Now the girl is not coming to that particular boy. What remedy does that boy have? Can anyone of you answer me? Boy के पास क्या remedy रहेगी?
Sir, he can go to the court and request to the honorable judge for saying that I really want to stay with my wife. Please give an order to stay with my wife.
Okay, good, Hardik. Now, the only remedy, I should say, the only remedy here is the restitution of conjugal rights. That is under Section 9 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. The boy will approach to the honorable court with the help of an advocate that, sir, I want my wife back and I want that she come back and live with me happily. So for that, I need an order. I need an order from the court which will direct my wife to come to Jaipur and live with me, because I have some rights. What type of rights? Conjugal rights. Let me explain you the true meaning of conjugal rights. It is like the right to stay together. The right to stay together by virtue of entering into a marital bond. Marriage kari hai unhone. They both have married with each other. So from that particular marriage, a right has been arose. And under that right, what is given? that right to stay together. The husband has that particular right. So he claims that particular right through section 9, which is right to file a litigation for a petition for conjugal rights, that I have my certain conjugal rights. I want my wife back to live with me. So I request the court to direct my wife to come here and live with me. Now, the major points here is that if the wife says to the court that, sir, I have the right to live with liberty under Article 21 of Constitution of India. Article 21 of Constitution of India provides me the right to live with liberty. And by implementing or by imposing this particular right of conjugal rights to my husband, you are violating Article 21 for me. Will that application of girl be considered as valid in the court of law? Answer me in yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Anyone? Any other one?
No, sir, I don't think so, because if this right, this argument is accepted by the court, then the entire, what is the meaning of this decree of conjugal rights?
Yes, very good. So this particular demand of girl will not be admissible by the court of law, because the right provided under Article 21 has some reasonable restrictions. Now, the demand of girl is that the Jaipur city is a low class city. I have my nightlife. I don't find my nightlife in Jaipur city, so I don't want to live with my husband. So this demand of girl is not, considerable. So when we file section 9, under section 9, when we file any application or petition under section 9, what we do is that we file that particular section for reasonable rights. That, let me tell you the whole bare wording of the particular thing, that if the particular husband or wife has I should say has started living away from the particular husband or wife without giving any reasonable excuse, and he or she withdraws from the society of that particular husband or wife. Now, without reasonable excuse, they are living out far from us, so we cannot give them this particular right. Okay, so if there is a reasonable excuse, then this right can be implemented. Now, this petition of conjugal rights under section 9 is always filed in district court. Now, in some of the states, the district courts have been made as family courts, and in some you could say in some districts there are separate family courts. So family court and district courts are same thing, because the main authority who is sitting in that particular court is district judge, who will decide the fate of the case. Okay, so don't get confused between a family court and a district court. You can say that this petition can be filed either in family court or in district court. This will be the same. Now, after filing this particular application, or I should say petition, in district court, the burden of proof to prove that the reason is excusable or not will lie on the respondent, that is the wife. That why are you living separately from your husband? This burden of proof will lie on the respondent in this particular section. Got it? So this is all about section 9 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Let us just revise it. First, it is a petition where a husband or a wife can file in a district court. When it can be filed? When that particular husband or wife has started living separately without giving any reasonable excuse and has withdrawn from the society of the other. In that particular case, that particular victim, husband or wife, he or she can file a petition under the Honorable District Court for the restitution of conjugal rights. कि सर मेरा right है, मेरी wife मेरे साथ रहनी चाहिए, या फिर wife भी file कर सकती है. The wife can also file that particular case. Yes, sir, I have that right that my husband has to live with me because of the marital bond. जो हमने शादी करी है, the marriage which has been taken place between us, that has provided us a right, that is right of restitution of conjugal rights. Now, there is a particular format to file that particular writ petition, which we are going to discuss here. In this particular format, I'll be providing you the notes of this class after the session. Okay, and that particular notes, these formats will be mentioned. All the formats which we'll discuss today will be mentioned in the notes. Okay, so in the format for petition of restitution of conjugal rights, what we have to write in the top of the page is the, who will tell me what is written in the top of the page?
Sorry,
What?
court's name.
Yeah, the name of the
For
court.
example, if it is in the family code, so
Your voice is not clear. Okay, I got your answer. The name of the court is written at the top of the page. Now you have to write like that: in the court of principal judge, comma, family court at Jaipur, if the case is filing in the Jaipur district. Got it? And that particular line will be written in the capital words and in bold. Okay, so it will start like this in the center of the page: in the court of principal judge or the family judge or the district court, in the district court at Jaipur. Okay, or at whatever place you are filing the case. In the second line, what will be written is that matrimonial case number, the number of the case of 2021. The number of the case will be mentioned, and below that the court fee will be mentioned. Court fee that will, if we take the example of Jaipur, we have 72 rupees as court fee for this particular filing of this case. 72 rupees. After that, the name of the parties will be mentioned. That is also one of the important things, that what we have to write in the name of the parties, we have to briefly describe the parties in the starting of the case. Like for example, if the girl is filing a case, or if the boy is filing a case, so boy will be the petitioner. He is filing the petition in the court, so he'll be the petitioner. Now we will write is that Ramesh, aged 32 years, son of Suresh Chand, resident of 56 Trivedi Nagar, Jaipur. And below that, petitioner, we will write petitioner. So we are briefly describing the petitioner. And below that, we will write verses and the description of the respondent, that is the particular girl or the wife. Now, in the particular section, what we have to write? Sunita, aged 30 years, wife of Ramesh, daughter of, you can say, Sankalp, and resident of the address of the Baroda district. Okay, and below that you have to write as respondent. Now, below these description, you have to write like that in the center of the page, petition under section 9. You have to always mention that under which section you are coming to this honorable court. So you will write that petition under section 9 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955 for restitution of conjugal rights, and it will be bold and underlined. Got it? Because you have to mention to the court that under which section and for which right you are coming to the court. Got it? Now, after that, you have to write like it like an application that, sir, comma, in the next line, most respectfully submitted hereunder as, or most respectfully showeth as the petitioner above named. The petitioner above named submits as follows. Now, below that, you have to write the brief facts of the case. You do not have to mention the law. You don't have to mention any other evidences, anything like that. You just have to mention the brief facts of the case. Now, here, what will you write is that you will start the paragraph with the particular word that. Okay, it will be in the form of paragraphs. So first point will be that the petitioner, Mr. Ramesh, and the respondent, Mrs. Sunita, married each other on, you can say, 15th February 2019 at, you can say the particular name of the hotel, at Marriott Hotel, New Delhi. After that, you have to write that the petitioner was living happily with her wife. There was some moments where there were some quarrels or disputes arising between them, but we used to, but the petitioner used to solve them through reasonable means. Okay, so you have to write the whole story in a brief manner. After that, writing the whole story, you have to tell the court the present scenario, that the respondent, Mrs. Sunita, has started living separately from the petitioner, that is Ramesh, from last 2 months without giving any reasonable excuse. After giving the present facts, you have to mention the prayer which you want from the court. In the prayer, what you will say is that hence the petitioner pray to this honorable court to pass an order directing the respondent to come and live with the petitioner happily under section 9 of the Hindu Marriage Act, which provides rights of restitution of conjugal rights. You just have to mention it in 2 or 3 lines. That's it. After that, what will be there? The date and place in the left hand side and the signature of the petitioner in the right side. And after the signature of the petitioner, there will be the signature of the advocate also. That through the counsel, you can say Mr. Abhimanyu Singh, so the counsel Mr. Abhimanyu Singh, and the signature of the advocate will be there. And after this formality, there will be a verification by the petitioner, that you will have to write this particular verification, that it is verified that the above content is true to my knowledge and it is correct, and I have mentioned this particular content to the best of my knowledge. This verification will be given by the petitioner and it will be signed afterwards. Now, after making this application or the petition in the honorable court, you have to sign it, and the proper affidavits will be given after this application. That in the affidavits, what you can mention is the register. When you have registered the marriage, then the certificate of registration of marriage will be given, or the evidences like this will be sent as an annexure in this particular petition. So this is all about the petition of restitution of conjugal rights. If you guys have any doubt regarding this particular section, you can ask me now. If you don't want to ask, then you can type it in the chat box also. I'll try to solve all the doubts in this particular live session only. Or if you have any doubt, then you can also ask me tomorrow. Okay, after reading the notes, you can ask me tomorrow if you have any doubts. Okay. Now, this is the first topic of your syllabus. Now, second topic is petition for judicial separation under section 10 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. Petition for judicial separation. Now, in this particular petition, what we write is that let me here also give an example. There are 2 people, one is Ramesh and one is Sunita. They always fight. They have been married from last, you can say, 3 years or 4 years. They always fight with each other on some petty issues. Now, they are fed up with each other, or you can say the husband is fed up with her wife, his wife, or the wife is fed up with her husband. Now, any of them wants a separation. He that we want to live separately for some time, to rethink and reanalyze our marriage, that we need a divorce or not. Got it? So for that particular time, we file a petition for judicial separation, that court will give them permission to live separately with each other for a particular period of time, to rethink that whether we want to continue this marriage or we want a divorce. Got it? Clear हुआ ये चीज? Answer mean yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank
Yes.
you. So now this is the scene here. The husband has approached you. You are the advocate of that particular husband. That, sir, I am fed up with my wife and I want a divorce. So first you will ask that husband whether do you love your wife or not. So he'll say, yes, sir, I love my wife a lot. So please rethink first. Rethink that, or you can say that, make a self-analysis that whether you actually want the divorce or not. Because in most of the cases of divorce, what happens is that due to the mutual negotiations, both the husband and wife reunite and they cancel the petition for divorce. Now, when the husband says, sir, okay, sir, I want to live separately with my wife for a period of, you can say, 6 months or 1 year, like that, so that I can rethink that whether I'll be able to live separately without her or not. Now, in that case, the husband will file a petition in the court of law for a judicial separation, for a decree of judicial separation. Now, in this section, the format is almost same. The bare wording says that any spouse who is hurt by another spouse, then he can file a petition for judicial separation in a district court under section 10. Now, this petition should be according to Order 7, Rule 1 of Civil Procedure Code. Now, Order 7, Rule 1 says about the plaint, that what should be the particulars of a plaint, like name of the court, name of the parties, the date and place of the marriage, both should be Hindu, etc. You have to mention all the details in this particular application. Okay. Now the husband is trying to rethink about his marriage, and he wants that whether he wants an extension of the relationship or not. Now, there are particular grounds for which, over which this particular petition can be filed. Can any one of you tell me what are the grounds on which, over which this particular application can be filed? What are the grounds? What are the grounds under which the petition of judicial separation can be filed under Section 10 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955? What are the grounds?
Sir, adultery
Yes, good. So,
and cruelty or
yeah, yes,
violence.
so all the grounds for divorce which are mentioned under Section 13, all the grounds for divorce which are mentioned under Section 13 are the grounds for judicial separation also. Okay, so we'll be discussing these grounds under Section 13, and I'm just telling you that the petition for judicial separation can be filed on all the grounds which are mentioned under Section 13. And under Section 13, let me tell you briefly that wife cruelty karti hai, or there is a case of adultery or desertion or conversion from Hindu to Muslim or Hindu to Christianity, or the wife has become an unsound mind, or a disease, vulnerable disease, which is viral in nature, or the wife has renounced the world, and the wife is presumed dead, that she has not been heard from at least 7 years. And for wife, these grounds are also there. Except these grounds, in addition, there are some 4 to 5 grounds like bigamy. The husband is remarried or married second times, that is bigamy, or the the husband has been convicted for the offense of rape, sodomy, bestiality, or there is a repudiation. The wife wants the repudiation of marriage. I'll explain you these grounds under section 13. Okay, so these are some of the grounds over which a petition for judicial separation can be granted. And in the general sense, the most ground which is used, the general ground or the common ground which is used here is the ground of cruelty. That my wife is committing cruelty over me, or my husband is committing cruelty over me. So in that case, I want a judicial separation for a period of particular month or particular year. Got it? Now, the format of this application is like in the center and the top of the page, in the court of family judge or in the court of a principal judge, family court Jaipur, or district court Jaipur. If the husband is living in the Jaipur, and the husband is filing a petition for judicial separation. After that, what you have to write is the matrimonial case number, you can say 72 of 2021. Then after that, you have to write the court fees. After that, you have to write the description of both the parties. What is the description? The name of the party, the age of the party, the father's name, and the residential address of both the parties. So here the petitioner is the husband. So first we will write the description of the husband, that is the petitioner. After that, verses and the description of the wife. After that, you will write that petition filed under section 10 for judicial separation under Hindu Marriage Act 1955. That will be bold and underlined. And after that, you have to write an application to the Honorable Court that, sir, the petitioner humbly submits as the first line, you will start from the particular word that the petitioner and respondent were married with each other on this particular date at this particular place. After that, you have to write, and some instances the wife of the husband used to call husband as Nithalla, or you can use any word. You can say the wife always used to give. Wife always used to say to the petitioner that you are of no use to me, you are not earning well, you always sit at home and you don't do any work, like these types of things. But the petitioner is doing whatever he can to earn his bread, and the petitioner is unable to if the petitioner is unable to to manage this particular thing, that wife is creating a mental cruelty over the petitioner. The petitioner has fed up by the words which the wife of the petitioner always say to the petitioner. So in this particular case, it is prayed that now it will be prayed to the Honorable Court that judicial separation shall be granted to the petitioner under section 10 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955 for the period of 6 months, so that the petitioner can get a chance to rethink about the extension of the relationship. Got it? That it is a medium under the law to give some time for the self-analysis to both the person. Now, what the court will do is that the court will give a time of 6 months, that आप लोग 2 से 6 महीने तक सोचिए, आराम से देखिए एक बार, अगर आपको सब कुछ सही लग रहा है that you can manage by living together, then it is very good. Or if you do not wish to continue this relationship, then you can file a petition under section 13 for the divorce, that we will study now. Now, students, if you have any doubt regarding the petition for judicial separation under section 10 of Hindu Marriage Act, you can ask me now. Otherwise, we will move forward to the petition filed under section 13 for divorce. Okay, so I guess there are no doubts, or you are, just you will ask the doubts tomorrow after reading the notes. I'm presuming that you will ask the doubts tomorrow. Okay. Now, the third point in today's session is filing a petition for divorce under section 13 of Hindu Marriage Act. Now, it is a general tendencies of all the courts that they do not, admit the petition for divorce in a first instance. What they do is that they just first request the petitioner to file the petition under section 9 for either restitution of conjugal rights or for judicial separation. कि भैया आपका इन दोनों में से कुछ नहीं हो पाया आपका, तो आप divorce फाइल कीजिए, because divorce is the last remedy or the last step which can be taken by the particular couple. So the court always requests the petitioner before admitting the petition for divorce that whether they have applied or they have filed a petition under section 9 or under section 10 of the Hindu Marriage Act or not. अगर आपने 9 के अंदर किया है, or if you have applied in under section 10 also, and you guys are not able to live together, then we will start with the proceedings of divorce. Got it? Like for example, under section 9, Ramesh filed a petition for restitution of conjugal rights. The court has ordered that particular wife to come and live with the husband. Now that wife is not coming to the not coming back and started living with her husband. Now in that particular case, the husband has the remedy to move further towards the petition for divorce. Or in case of judicial separation, if that particular time period has elapsed, and after that time period, both husband and wife have decided that no, we will not be able, or either of them has decided that no, I'll not be able to live with this particular person and I want a divorce. So they can file an application or petition for divorce under the Honorable Court. This petition will also be filed in the district court or the family court. Got it? Now, for the petition of divorce, there are various grounds which are given under section 13 clause 1. That section 13 is a very big section. You have to understand this particular section before starting with the format of the divorce petition. Now, under section 13, it provides grounds for divorce for both husband and wife under clause 1. हस्बैंड के पास भी राइट है वो वाला, सेम वाइफ के पास भी राइट है वो वाला. कौन से राइट्स हैं वो हम डिस्कस करेंगे. नाउ द फर्स्ट राइट इज ऑफ अडल्ट्री. नाउ हु विल टेल मी दैट अडल्ट्री इज एन ऑफेंस और नॉट?
Sir, adultery is not an offense, but it is a ground for divorce or judicial separation.
Yes, very good. Now, after the amendment in the Indian Penal Code, the adultery is not an offense under IPC, but it is a ground for judicial separation or ground for divorce under section 13 clause 1 of Hindu Marriage Act. Now, the term adultery means when either the husband or the wife is found to have in the intimate position or intimate relationship with another husband or wife. Like for example, there is a husband Ramesh and Sunita. Now at one day, so Sunita saw that the husband is indulging in some sexual activities or intimating, or she has found her husband at some compromising position, and now she has the evidences that yes, the husband is committing adultery. Now this is the ground for Sunita to file a petition for divorce. The same ground is also available for husband also. If he saws or if he sees his wife in a compromising position or at intimating, if he finds any of the grounds for adultery. Now, this is the first ground. The second ground is cruelty, which is the most widest, most broadest ground in this particular section. Because adultery can be physical, cruelty can be physical, cruelty can be mental, cruelty can be sexual, cruelty can be economical. Okay, these are the 4 types of cruelty: economical, mental, sexual, physical, anything. So the scope of cruelty is very broad. You cannot say that this particular thing will fall under the line of cruelty or not, or under the concept of cruelty or not, because it is a, you can say it is such a particular ground which is emerging day by day, which is getting its scope wide day by day. Okay, so some of the grounds of cruelty can be physical, that they torture me, the husband or the family of the husband, the mother of the husband, the mother-in-law or the father-in-law or the brother of the husband, they physically tortures me, so that is a ground of cruelty. Or mental cruelty can be done by ways of calling the wife on a particular name, or for not having a baby boy. These types of mental cruelty can be done. Physical, mental, economical, when the husband or the family of the husband denies to provide proper economical or maintenance to that particular woman so that her household can be done. So that is economical cruelty. And the last is sexual cruelty, that it can be like sodomy, bestiality. The husband is doing sodomy or bestiality with wife, or vice versa. Okay, now this is the second ground of cruelty. The third ground of this is the second ground of divorce. The third ground of divorce is desertion. That is, husband या wife ने छोड़ दिया है कि मुझे आपसे कोई मतलब नहीं है. Now I am going to live with my parents, or at some at other place. Now this desertion is continuous for 2 years. After that 2 years, the husband or the wife gets a right to file a petition for divorce. 2 साल से पहले नहीं कर सकते वो. In the case of desertion, when husband और wife जो बोलते हैं कि हाँ मुझे मतलब नहीं है आपसे, मैं छोड़ रही हूँ आपको, और मैं 2 साल तक अलग रह रही है, और husband अलग रह रहा है 2 साल तक. After 2 years, the husband or the wife will get the ground for divorce. After the desertion, there is a ground of conversion. If any of the couple, either the husband or the wife, they convert from Hindu religion to any other religion. In any other religion, we count Muslim, Christian, or any other religion like that, Irani, Parsis, etc. Jews, etc. Now, if the husband has converted to Islam, then it is a ground for divorce for his wife. Another ground is of unsound mind, that the husband or the wife, they have become unsound, and that particular unsoundness is incurable. That is the main thing here. It is incurable. कि वो पागल हो चुका है, उसका इलाज कराना पॉसिबल नहीं है. That is incurable. Then only the ground of unsoundness of mind will be applicable in this particular case. Without that there will not be ground. If that particular unsoundness is curable, then no ground of divorce will be there. After the ground of unsoundness of mind, there is a ground of leprosy. Leprosy is you can say कर्क रोग, जो अमिताभ बच्चन ऐड करते हैं, जिसका कर्क रोग जो है वो छूने से नहीं फैलता, ऐसा बोलते हैं कुछ इस टाइप से. Leprosy disease has been suffered from, either the husband or wife is suffering from the leprosy disease, which is viral and incurable. Okay, which is viral, and viral means communicable, and incurable. Then in that particular case, this is also a ground for divorce. One of the interesting ground in the divorce case is renouncement. हस्बैंड बोलता है कि मुझे अब इस दुनिया से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, मैं सब कुछ त्याग चुका हूँ, मैं अब हिमालय पर जाने वाला हूँ और मुझे किसी से कोई मतलब नहीं है. And the husband actually starts living at some particular in a hut or to a Baba's place or anything like that. He has renounced the world. So this is also a ground for divorce for husband or either for wife also. The last ground here is the presumption of death. Here I will give you an example. Whenever a particular husband or wife is not being heard of from past 7 years, then that husband or wife gets the right of divorce from the particular husband or wife who has not been heard. Example देता हूं मैं आपको अब. There was a husband, Ramesh. He was a military officer, or he was in army. He was a subedar in army. Now there was a landslide in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and under which there were 3 deaths, but the husband Ramesh was not found in that particular landslide. He disappeared, and there was no sense of finding that particular husband. Now the wife waited for 1 year, the wife waited for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5th year, and 7th year. 7 साल तक वाइफ ने वेट किया. Now after waiting for 7 years, what she think that yes, my husband is died now, and now I can presume that he has been dead, so I can remarry now. Wife जो है, now she started finding some another match, and she found a match, and now she is getting married after 7 years. And during the type of fera, that sapadi सात fera, the husband appears and he says, रुक जाओ, ये शादी नहीं हो सकती. Now tell me that whether this particular marriage is valid or not.
Yes, sir, I think it is valid because the wife waited for 7 years. It's a long period. If a husband was alive, he should have come earlier.
Okay. Any other answer? Any other answer except this? Come on, any other answer?
So it can be situational based also. If he's in the army, as you gave an example, and if he's been caught by the another allied country, and if he comes back after such a long time, then he should have a proper evidence that I was being caught by the allied country, and now I have appeared after so many long years. So you can either think about it on XYZ, XYZ.
Okay. Good. So the answer is that particular marriage is totally void. The reason behind this voidness is because the girl, that particular wife, has not applied for divorce under section 13. After 7 years, she will apply to court. She cannot directly remarry. She has to apply to court that, sir, my husband is not been heard from past 7 years. So we presume that he has been dead till now. So I want a divorce from my husband. And the court will grant the decree of divorce. And after that decree, the wife can remarry. This should be your answer. Think like an advocate. Okay. So जब भी ऐसा कोई ground आ रहा है, any of the grounds is there, like my wife has renounced, or my wife has changed her religion, so I will remarry. It is not like that. These are the grounds for divorce. You have to file an application for divorce under the court, and after getting the decree of divorce, you can remarry. Got it? Now, these grounds can be obtained after when there is a petition for restitution of conjugal rights, and the wife has not, she's not been coming back till 1 year. After waiting for 1 year or more, then a petition can be filed. Or if there is no cohabitation, like in case of judicial separation, when they both decide that no, we will not be able to live with each other, there is no cohabitation between them, then they can file this particular application for divorce. These grounds are available for both the husband and wife. Now, the other grounds which are specifically available for wife are, first, the bigamy. If the husband commit or husband remarries or marries with the second woman, then it is a ground for divorce for the wife. Second is if the husband is convicted for the offense of rape, sodomy, or bestiality. If the husband is convicted only, then also it is a ground for divorce for the wife. The third ground is repudiation of marriage. When, like for example, when the wife was below the age of 15 years and her marriage took place, now she has become major and now she wants to repudiate, that is, cancel her marriage. Then she can file a petition under the Honorable Court for the divorce. That, sir, when I was below the age of 15 years, the marriage took place, and now I've become major and I don't want to continue this marriage. So please grant a decree of repudiation of marriage for divorce. And the last is if the wife is living separately and she has filed a application under section 125 of CRPC, that is maintenance, and the maintenance has been provided directly to the particular girl, and if the decree of maintenance has been granted by the court, then on that particular ground also she can file a petition for divorce. Got it? So this is the main grounds for divorce under Hindu Marriage Act. These are all the grounds. The format of petition for divorce will be same as of petition for judicial separation or petition for restitution of conjugal rights. The format is exactly same. What will be in the format? The name of the court will be in the center in the capital words, and in the district court will be there, or the family court will be there. After that, the case number, the matrimonial case number. After that, the court fees. After that, the name of the parties, description of the parties. After that, petition filed under section 13 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955 for grant of divorce under section 13 clause 1. Got it? Section 13 clause 1 talks about the grounds of divorce for the dissolution of marriage. After that, you have to write the whole story, and in the end, in the prayer, you have to write that, sir, due to these grounds, I want a divorce, so please grant me divorce. And you have to verify through your advocate everything. Got it? So this is all about the petition for divorce. I'll also be giving you a draft, or you can say the format of petition, writing petition for divorce. You can easily go through it first. And if you have any doubt regarding this particular draft, you can ask me tomorrow. Now, these petitions are being completed. Now, what if both the husband and wife, there is no case of cruelty, there is no case of any adultery or anything like that? It is like that the husband is not happy, the wife is also not happy. They don't have any issue with that particular thing, but they're not happy, and they do not want to continue this unhappiness. They want a divorce, but this unhappiness is not a ground for getting divorce. So under which section or under which particular thing they can get a divorce? Can anyone answer me?
Sir, section
Some
13
mutual
B1.
Yes, very good. Section 13 clause B, that is divorce by mutual consent. दोनों अपनी consent देंगे. Yes, I also want a divorce. I also want a divorce. Why? Because we are not, we think that we are not made for each other. That can also be that ground for mutual consent, that we are not made for each other, so we want a divorce. We don't want to file any case over my husband, or I don't want to make any allegations over my wife that she is like that, she is like that, he is like that. We just want a simple, sober divorce. So for that, we are applying to this honorable court for mutual divorce. And it is filed under section 13 clause B of the Hindu Marriage Act 1955. The essential ingredients of mutual divorce are total three. That first ingredients is both the parties should be living together. दोनों पार्टी जो है साथ में रहनी चाहिए, पहली चीज तो ये. Both the parties should be living together. The second thing is that parties have not been able to live together. This is also essential ground that we are not able to live together. First, we are living together. Second, we are not able to live together. Third, that both of us, the parties, have mutually agreed that the marriage should be dissolved. दोनों को एग्री होना है mutually with their proper full consent, without any coercion, force, anything like that. Okay, so these are the three essential ingredients of mutual divorce, filing a mutual divorce. साथ में रहना चाहिए, दोनों साथ में नहीं रह पा रहे, तीसरा दोनों एग्री हो रहे हैं. That are the three grounds. Now, the procedure of mutual divorce is very quick, very fast, and very easy. What is the procedure? You jointly file a petition in the court. You get a first date to rethink that whether you will be able to live together or not. And in the second date, in the second hearing, if you says that yes, we are not able to live together, then a mutual divorce is granted. It is the simplest thing of getting a divorce. Now I'll tell you the exact procedure. Like on 15th of February 2021, Ramesh and Sunita, they both want a mutual divorce. They will approach the court on 15th February 2021. It's sir, we both have agreed and we want a mutual divorce. They will file a petition under the Honorable District Court also. In this particular section also, District Court will be there. In the District Court, and they will file a petition under section 13 clause B, that sir, we want a mutual divorce. Now, the court will give them a time of first motion. We say it like that, first motion. In the first motion, the court will say that, okay, your date is, you can say 20th February. Come to me on 20th February. Now on 20th February, court will say to them that, please start living with each other. Okay, I am giving you a time of 6 months. Try to live with each other for 6 months. If then only, अगर आपको तब भी नहीं लगता that you both will be able to live with each other, then you come to me, I'll give you divorce. Then exactly after 6 months, that is 20th February, March, April, May, June, July, August. That on 20th August, they will go to the court that, sir, we are not able to live together. Please grant us divorce. That on 20th August only, the divorce will be granted to both of them. That's it. No allegations, no trial, nothing. This is the simplest procedure for getting a divorce. Got it? Now, the format for getting this particular divorce is also exactly same as format for filing a petition for restitution of conjugal rights, petition for filing a judicial separation, petition for filing a divorce. The format for petition for getting a mutual divorce is also same. But in all these 4 petitions, the content will be different. Like in petition for restitution of conjugal rights, the content will be, my wife is living separately from me without giving a reasonable excuse. And in petition for judicial separation, what will you write is that we are not able to live together. We want to rethink that whether we will be able to live separately or not, or we will proceed to divorce or not. So please grant us a judicial separation so that we can live separately. And in divorce, there are certain grounds mentioned. You have to mention any of the ground for getting a divorce. And in divorce by mutual consent, you will say that we both mutually have decided to live separately and we are not able to live together. So we want a mutual divorce. Okay, the content will be different, but the format will be same for all the 4 petitions. Got it? Now, the next topic, I should say the second last topic, I guess. Yes, the second last topic for today's session is petition for custody of child, or I should say the application for custody of child. Now, whenever you are making a petition for divorce or judicial separation or divorce by mutual consent, you also make an application along with it, along with this petition, for getting custody of the child. Got it? Either the husband or the wife can get the custody of the child. But let me tell you one thing here is that if the child is below the age of 5 years, then in most of the cases, the custody is given to the particular wife. Okay, whether she wants or not. In most of the cases, the custody is given to the wife. Now, for getting the custody, now I'll again take the example. There are two parties. One the husband Ramesh, the second wife Sunita. They have been married on, you can say, 15th of February 2016. Now they have a child. I should say 16, not 16, 2013. Now they have a child who is above the age of 5 years. You can say that he is of 7 years now, and he is a boy. Now both have, or you can say the wife has filed a petition for divorce under section 13 on the grounds of cruelty by husband only, because he's a drunkard. Got it? Now the wife, or it is a duty of the advocate also to file an application along with the petition of divorce, that to provide the custody of that particular son who is living with his father. Now wife has come to her matrimonial home, mother's home, and now she wants that her son will also come and live with her. For that, she need to file an application in the court of law, and under this application, she will mention the name of the parties. The format will also, more or less same, but something is different. I'll let you know this difference between the petition and the application. That you have to write in the application that in the court of guardian judge, court fees, then you have to write the name of the party, that is the wife. She will file the petition here, that Sunita, wife of Ramesh, aged 30 years, daughter of Sankal, resident of Baroda, petitioner, versus, or you can say the applicant, versus the name of the husband, Ramesh, son of XYZ, you can say, as resident of Jaipur, as respondent. Now, after that, you need to write the particular section which provides the guardianship. So, in Hindu law, this particular guardianship is provided under section 25 of the Guardian and Wards Act 1890 for the custody of minor. Okay, for the custody of minor. So you have to write in the next line that application under section 25 of Guardian and Wards Act 1890 for the custody of minor, namely, you can say Ritesh, born on 1st December 2012. Okay. Now, after that, you have to write in that particular application, sir, the petitioner humbly submits the follow, that हम दोनों की शादी हो गई थी, we both married with each other, and we have a son who is the age of, you can say, 7 years. The respondent here is in the habit of drinking alcohol daily, and after drinking alcohol, he commits, cruelty over me and the wife and the son also. So, in my opinion, if my son is living with his father, he will not be able to, continue with the studies also, and the husband is working, so he will not be able to make proper arrangement for schooling and studying of my child. So, in this particular case, I want to pray to this honorable court to grant me the custody of my child. Okay, you have to pray like that. After that, you have to mention the date and place, the signature of the petitioner. After that, the signature of the advocate through the counsel. You are getting going. and after that you have to write the verification that I verify that all the information given by me to this court is fairly correct and up to my best of my knowledge. Verified by the petitioner, and the signature of the petitioner will be signed. So this is the format of an application for the custody of child if you are filing a petition under section 9, 10, and 13. Got it? Now, if you guys have any doubt, you can ask me right now regarding all these 4 topics. Otherwise, I'll start with the last topic of today. Okay, so the last topic of for today is contract of live-in relationship. Yes, live-in relationship. What do you understand by live-in relationship? Can any one of you tell me what do you understand by the term live-in relationship? Please define in a legal manner.
So when a couple cohabitates but outside the bounds of marriage.
Okay, good. And this is the one part of the definition. When a couple decides to cohabitate with each other without the bond of marriage, and and they decide to establish their respective rights over the rights and responsibilities over the income and property of each other. Recently, the Supreme Court has given a judgment that if a child has been born out of a live-in relationship, then he has the right over the property of his parents, or the specifically to the father, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now the term live-in relationship means in the legal sense that when two person, Ramesh and Sunita, are two person, what they are not married with each other, they decide to live together at a particular place. Like we can say at Jaipur. Now they have taken a flat over rent, and they want to live with each other. So in the manner that they will not, the rights and liabilities shall not be indulged in this particular relationship. The rights and liabilities shall not be affected after this relationship. So in that particular case, for getting a safer side ke liye, both the parties enter into an agreement, and if the agreement is enforceable by law, it is termed as what? An agreement enforceable by law is a
Contract.
yes, contract under section 2H of Contract Act. Now, this particular agreement will be enforceable under court of law. So both the parties will enter into a contract that the party number 1 and the first party and the second party, they are mutually deciding to enter into a contract, and the terms of the contract will be as per the laws. Now, the format of this particular contract will also be given to you. I'll discuss the format here is that of this particular agreement, or actually I should say the contract. First, you have to write that agreement for live-in relationship, to write in the heading. After that, you have to write this cohabitation agreement hereinafter referred to as agreement is entered on this date, that is 15th February 2021, by and between Ramesh, son of, you can say, Suresh, resident of Jaipur, that is the first party, and Sunita, daughter of XYZ, resident of Baroda, as second party. So Ramesh is the first party, Sunita is the second party, because it is not a case, it is not a petition. So we don't have to write the petitioner or applicant like that. These are both the parties. So the husband will be the first party, or the wife can also be the first party. In this particular case, the husband is the first party, the wife is the second party. Now, both these will be called as parties collectively. दोनों को जब बात करेंगे तो दोनों को हम क्या नाम देंगे? Parties. Husband is first party, second is the wife is second party. Both will be termed as parties. Now, you have to write in the application or the contract in points. The first point you will write that the parties currently reside together at the particular address of the flat which they have taken on rent, although there is currently no intention or agreement to marry with each other. You have to write this line also, that we don't have any intention or agreement to marry with each other. We are living together at this particular address. Now, with respect to this current circumstances, the first party and the second party who does not have any children, they enter into a particular contract. Now, if any of the particular party has any children, then the details of the children will also be mentioned, that name of the children and age of the children. Okay. Now, after getting these, after writing these details, you have to write that the next point will be the parties will the parties wish to establish their respective rights and responsibilities regarding each other's income and property, as well as income and property that may be acquired in future, either separately or together during the period of cohabitation. जब तक दोनों साथ में रह रहे हैं, उससे पहले की प्रॉपर्टी भी और उसके बाद की प्रॉपर्टी भी, उन दोनों की प्रॉपर्टी की rights and responsibilities will be determined by this contract. Like for example, the Ramesh and Sunita are living in live-in relationship, and they purchased, you can say, a car or a flat all by themselves. वो दोनों ने इकट्ठा किया, दोनों ने half payment पे किया उसका. Like down payment is made by Mr. Ramesh and the EMIs are being paid by Miss Sunita. So whose right will be there on this particular car if they get separated? Can anyone of you tell me? The down payment is by husband, Ramesh, and the EMIs are being paid by Sunita in a live-in relationship. And at particular after 1 year, they ended this live-in relationship. Now, whose right will be there? Can any one of you answer?
Sir, it can either be on the proportion base, or
Yes.
either it can be on the grounds which are mentioned in the contract.
Yes.
If they have done any kind of contract. Then.
Yes. So for determining these rights and responsibilities, the couple in the live-in relationship enters into a particular contract that in this particular scenario, if we separate with each other, then the rights and responsibilities over the property will be shared accordingly. It can be 50-50 or it can be in any of the proportion, like the husband or not the husband, that particular male Ramesh has a house on his name and it is of amount of 2 crore rupees. Now he has this house before coming into the relationship of live-in relationship. Now after the end of live-in relationship, the wife can or cannot claim the right over that particular house. This right will be mentioned in the contract, that whether the rights and responsibilities in that particular house will be given to the girl or not. But in case if a child is born out of this particular relationship, live-in relationship, then that particular child will definitely have the right over each and every property of the father and the mother. Okay. So this particular agreement will have these types of conditions, and in the end, both the parties will sign, and there will be two witnesses from each of the parties. This agreement will be notarized by the notary public, and it will be noted in the court of law, so that it will become a legally binding contract on both the parties. So this type of contract is also being generally made in today's time. Got it? So I'll also be sharing the format of this particular contract just after this class. Okay, so this is all for today. I'll share the notes as well as the particular formats of these drafts. Please read those notes and drafts carefully. And if you have any problem in these notes in the subject, you can ask me tomorrow. Okay, that is for all for today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.